the last time me and Dana were on a podcast together, it was so bad it's never aired. So
what was that?
They cut that?
I don't know. It's never come out. We just recorded it.
What was the show?
It's Drop a Pin. Maybe it'll come out. I think it's just like we're in the back of the bullpen.
Yeah, well it was just us.
It's the 4th of July episode.
No, it's me and Dana talking about our hometown.
This Independence Day.
There's a lot of drinking on the South Shore. Do you think us three drank more in high school than most people?
I don't know if that's a bad thing. I'm proud of it.
I feel like growing up, it was like who can just drink the most.
6 months in the making.
And we get 30s of Keystone Light and some Rubinoff.
Just Wabos or Raz Rube.
What's a Wabo?
A water bottle.
I've never heard Wabo.
The potential to shape a generation.
I would usually just take a 30 rack and a handle of whiskey from the Priest.
I think stealing is fine.
Small towns, big drama.
That was one of the worst blackouts I've ever had.
Another fight broke out over here. Another fight broke out over there. Girls are fucking screaming, crying.
I feel like Norwell's a big fight town.
They said it would never air.
Yoga pants in high school were dancies. Dance pants.
They were wrong.
My friends, I think, used to have to hang out with Scituate girls in order to get like hand jobs and blow jobs.
Hangham's like they don't even touch your dick.
Honest to God, this is the most Massachusetts conversation ever.
Drop a Pin. South Shore, Massachusetts. Starts right now.
Hey, how are you? The day has finally come. This podcast is 6 months in the making, maybe longer. I think we first started working on this back in like February.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on South Shore, Massachusetts, which has a very special place in my heart. It's where I was born and raised. And I even have a deeper connection to it as well. So my dad's side of the family, his grandfather immigrated to America, but my mom claims, and she can actually back this up, she had a relative that came over on the Mayflower.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and they landed in Plymouth, which is on the South Shore.
Terrible rock.
Terrible rock. Pretty cool town.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's yeah, there's not a lot I can say about it. It's large area-wise.
I bet they drank a lot in high school if you went there.
Oh, yeah.
Plymouth High? Come on.
Oh, dude, yeah. More like Plymouth. I think they like their pills there. They a lot of the South Shore likes their pills, but that's not what we're going to be talking about on this pod.
It kind of is.
This episode is going to start with an interview with Dana and Hank, two Barstool employees that are from the South Shore, and then we might have a couple more Barstool coworkers join us later on in the pod too. I know for sure Briana Chickenfry will be on today's Gettin Cultured. She's a Rockland native, also on the South Shore, and may have some sound bites from a couple other people. It all depends on whether our producer can do his job or not. We'll see. The reason that this episode has been delayed for so long is we originally recorded it, and then afterwards Chaps and Sam were like, that seemed kind of like a little inside baseball. You guys mainly were just talking about like where you drank in high school.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a large part of the conversation, but I think it's worth putting out. I feel like it's information that people need to know. But seeing as in the actual interview sections of these pods, you're not going to be learning a lot about South Shore history, I feel like I would just add a few quick tidbits before we get into the meat and potatoes of this pod.
Okay.
So everybody has heard about the Pilgrims.
Right.
And so I don't need to teach you about that. And the Pilgrims, they very brave for doing what they did, but kind of lame. They had a lot of rules. Like they came to the New World to escape religious persecution, but then once they arrived, they were like, okay, if you don't practice our religion, you're banished from the colony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, come on, you got to
have a little more understanding, a little more compassion.
Exactly. And there was this one dude who was originally part of that colony, and he was like, these guys are too strict. They're too prude for my liking. So this dude, Thomas Morton, yeah, he left Plymouth and he started his own colony in what is now like the Braintree, Quincy area. And that colony had no rules. You could drink, you could party, you could hang out with Native Americans. They had a big maypole festival. Have you ever heard of the maypole?
No. Oh, is that the one where they like grease it down and you see if you can run across it?
No, but they do that in Gloucester, Mass. That's
Okay.
That's on the North Shore. No, I think they
Wrong
just
shore.
like build a giant pole and then they dance around it and get drunk.
Way less cool.
Still pretty cool.
Nah, it's not that cool.
I don't know. It was cool compared to what the Pilgrims were doing.
Yeah.
Pilgrims weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
Pilgrims weren't even like allowed to hang out with the Native Americans. They were like, dude, come party with us. We'll smoke the peace pipe. We'll get drunk. We'll sing songs. We'll dance. None of that was allowed in Plymouth, but it was allowed in the colony of Marymount, which very few people know about, because then the Pilgrims were like, okay, enough of this nonsense. You guys are getting out of hand. They came and arrested Thomas Morton, shut down the colony.
What a bunch of losers.
And then the second historical fact I'll hit you with is there was a colony, which is now where Weymouth is. It was called Wessagusset, which is a great name. This was like one of the second colonies on the South Shore right after Plymouth. But a big boat of people showed up. These guys did not have any survival skills at all. So they arrive and immediately they're like, fuck, we don't know how to farm. We don't know how to build homes. Like, we are so screwed.
Dude, it would be hard though. Like if you were going to a brand new spot, I think about if we had to start over from absolute scratch. You get dropped off in the wilderness somewhere and you have to completely build a town, not just like your home, but like civilization.
It would be very hard, but that's why like me and you aren't planning on doing that. I think if we had plans to do it, we'd be like, okay, who do we need in our crew? We need carpenters.
We need Jersey Jerry.
Yeah. We need some union guys.
Yeah. We'd be fucked. If Barstool had to start our own colony, we'd be fucked.
We'd be, yeah. I mean,
Well, we got Sydney Wells would be a big,
we
should be a
have
big part of it.
Sydney Wells and Chef Donnie can cook, and that's like it.
Yeah.
And then you were in the military. I guess like maybe you
I could shoot someone, I guess.
Yeah. But like you don't know how to make a bow and arrow.
No, I can make a bow and arrow.
Sure, buddy.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fair.
Yeah. I don't know if you could. So they arrived. They're so screwed. You know what they ended up doing? They ended up just going to the local Native Americans and just being straight up, we're starving to death and we're freezing to death. We will be your slaves. Just give us food. And they just became slaves to the Native Americans
Jeez.
in exchange for survival. And then folks in the Plymouth colony were like, these Wessagusset fucks are making us look bad, which is funny because people like to shit on Weymouth even to this day as like a bunch of people like, I don't know, they get made fun of as like, it's a little bit more of like a blue collar town. So people will be like, oh, Weymouth trash. I don't think that. I think that they're great people from Weymouth, but
Lots of people would say they're trash.
yeah, you'll hear that thrown around, and that's exactly what the Pilgrims were thinking.
Make sure you leave a comment if you think Weymouth people are trash.
I don't think Jerry Thornton, I think, is from Weymouth. And so, yeah, they were just like, the Pilgrims were pissed off because they were like, God damn it, they're making all of us look bad, that they've just whored themselves out to the Native Americans. And so then I think they came in and kind of like fought a little battle with the Native Americans and took the Weymouth folk back because they were like, you're making all of us Europeans look bad by just straight up becoming slaves. So those are two little fun South Shore historical stories that I think very few people have heard about.
Are you familiar with the Weymouth town swallowing turtle?
No.
I asked ChatGPT what some of the weirder things about Weymouth was, or the South Shore, and it says that legend has it there's a devil's footprint at Bear Coves Park in Hingham was left by a giant turtle demon. Others say that it's the devil himself.
You will see, I've heard a lot of stories about that in the woods. Like in the woods near my hometown, there was the Devil's Chair, which was just a giant rock that kind of looked like a chair. I'm not really buying it. There was also South Shore's famous Hingham Harbor was like one of the biggest shipbuilding ports during the World War I and World War II. It's where they built a lot of the ships. And it's also where they opened up the first Wahlburgers. Have you ever been to Wahlburgers?
I actually have. Yes, I've been to a Wahlburgers. Extremely mid.
Yeah, it's nothing to write home about, but good for one of the brothers, because now you got Mark Wahlberg, then you got Donnie Wahlberg, and then I think the third brother is the chef, the one who like is the brains behind Wahlburgers.
Isn't Donnie Wahlberg married to Jenna Jameson or Jenny McCarthy?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, getting his dick sucked. That's nice.
Yeah. I mean, he's never going to be as well known as Mark Wahlberg, but
No, Mark Wahlberg is like that whole golfing at 4 o'clock in the morning and waking up to pray every day. Get out of here.
yeah. He also has like a dark past. I think if he was coming up today, maybe canceled just for a crime he committed when he was a kid. But he's a changed man now, so we don't have to go into that. But yeah, you know,
I like just casually bring it up. We don't have to talk about it though.
he beat a Vietnamese guy in
Yeah.
Dorchester.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yes, but Dorchester's
We
not.
disavow.
Dorchester's technically not. Dorchester's part of Boston, not part of the South Shore, so we don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
This episode is mainly just about where we drank in high school, as we said. But we talk a little bit about some of the food there. And Dana and Hank also just share some stories about travel in general. But, you know, I think we should revisit this at some point. Because I mean, maybe not the South Shore, but I'm down to revisit Massachusetts in general. Because what I really want to do a deep dive into is something called the King Philip's War, which is one of the very first wars that Europeans fought on American soil.
Okay.
And there's a crazy fact. If you go by the percentage of like so-called Americans, but mainly at this point they were just Europeans living on what is now America, it was like the highest percentage of the population killed in that war.
Damn.
Yeah, that was it's called King Philip's War because King Philip was the nickname of the Native American chief that they fought. And it was fought by the children of the people who celebrated the first Thanksgiving. So the first Thanksgiving did happen, and it was a good time, but then shit went south a generation later.
I've heard that, yeah.
So without further ado, should we get into the pod?
Let's do it.
Oh, and also happy 4th of July, everybody. This will come out a few days before, but hope you guys have a wonderful time. I will be on the South Shore getting drunk at Bassing's Beach, which I think we mentioned on the pod.
Here we go.
Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Drop a Pin. Today we have two South Shore legends on to talk about none other than South Shore, Massachusetts, a.k.a. the Irish Riviera. Mm-hmm. Where are you guys from?
It's complicated, but I grew up on the Cape and then moved to Hingham, Mass, and now my family lives in Scituate, Mass. I guess it's not that complicated.
I moved to Scituate when I was 4 years old, so also I would say that Scituate is the Irish Riviera.
I think
the South Shore, you kind of just combined everything there, but that's fine.
I think Scituate, Cohasset, and Hingham could all be considered the Irish Riviera, as well as like Marshfield and Duxbury and Plymouth. Maybe not Plymouth, I don't know. But yes, Scituate is the most Irish town, not only in Massachusetts. Some people say
I think in America,
the entire United States.
That's been my go-to fun fact since probably when I got to college, when it was always like icebreakers, or like whenever you go into any situation, like, what's your fun fact? What's an icebreaker? The easiest one is just I'm from the most Irish town in America. Because if you Google most Irish town in America, people are like, really? And then they Google it, Scituate, Mass.
Yeah.
It pops up. Yeah, and I was born and raised in Cohasset. My parents now live in Hull, which is also on the South Shore, right next to Hingham. And so, yeah, just to back up a little bit, the South Shore, Massachusetts has a large bay, and there's the North Shore and the South Shore. And if you keep going past the South Shore, you get to the Cape Cod. So, no, we don't live on the Cape. It's a completely different thing. I would say it's got its own culture. Mm-hmm. I mean, like
a lot of drinking.
Yes.
Yes, a lot of drinking.
I think there's a big North Shore versus South Shore rivalry of like who drinks more.
And they're very different. I mean, North Shore is more Italian, I'd say.
Yeah.
South Shore is more Irish. The North Shore is famous for their roast beefs. But if you go to the South Shore, you can't even find a roast beef because we're famous for our bar pizza.
Yep.
Would one of you like to explain what bar pizza even is?
It's really small and thin, and there's the pieces are probably like this big, right?
It's like single serving, I would say,
Single
is a good
serving.
way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like,
So he's showing like the sign of a tortilla. And also, if you're listening, he says South Shore Legends, but it's Handsome Hank and Dana Beers. So if you're listening, you
didn't say
can't
that,
see.
did we?
Oh, yeah,
If
yeah.
you can't see, it's Handsome Hank and Dana Beers.
That was implied. And I mean, you guys aren't even the only South Shore legends at this company.
the South Shore is the strongest group of strongest region that Barstool has by far,
Who
far
else?
and away. Ryan Whitney,
Oh
Situate.
yeah, of course.
Dana Beers, Hingham, Brianna, formerly Grace, Rockland, Sass, Duxbury, Gaz, employee number 2, Randolph,
Yep.
Donnie, Cohasset. I think that's it. I said Whitney, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you said Whitney. And like Dave was raised on the North Shore. So
Okay.
it's a North Shore founded company, but now it's South Shore represented. But I remember I asked you, I was like, who's the most like famous dude from Situate? And you were like, I don't know, man. I think it might be me.
No, it's Whitney.
Probably.
I thought you were saying it was you. No.
No.
It's definitely now that Whitney's got Pink Whitney, he's got his own drink. But I mean, Situate's there's like a lot of professional hockey players that have come from Situate over the years, would you say? Or just a few?
Not really. I mean, Whitney, there's one other guy. He had a stint in the NHL,
Where's Yandel from?
couple stints in the pen.
Okay.
Yandel from Milton.
So I guess we're
I
not
think
going to
he's-
talk about that guy on this podcast. I'm fine.
You tell me. I mean, you're the one that's been in hotter water than me. I've steered clear as much as I enjoy some of his content, but there's a few NHL legends from Situate. Mm-hmm. Legendary for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, he's referring to Billy Tibbetts. We're not going to take a deep dive on this podcast on him. Maybe on a future podcast. Maybe he would
Tibbetts.
come on. But I think he also did the Chicklets podcast, and immediately after was like, "Oh, can you cut like 90% of it and just leave this 10% in?" And they're like, "No."
I used to just watch his Instagram.
Yeah.
Everything he did.
Yeah, Hank warned me to like not be. He was like, "These blogs are funny, but like, you might not want to do it because like eventually he's just gonna freak out and lash out at you." And that's exactly what happened. He posted a video a few years ago calling me the Wonton tampon.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah,
honestly.
it was great. It was great. But yeah, we don't need to dive into him right now. We'll save that for a future pod. I don't know how he's doing these days. But yeah, there's a lot of drinking on the South Shore. Do you think us three like drank more in high school than most people?
I was talking to someone recently, and they were like, "You Massachusetts people, like, you're awesome, but the drinking." And I'm like, I'm proud of that. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I'm proud of it. My group of friends in high school, we all just like really got after it, and we still do to this day. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's like the Irish part of just the South Shore or what, but everyone I know from the South Shore, like one way or another, just gets after it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys probably might have had similar college experiences. I only went for 1 year, but I remember, I had a small, pretty, I mean, I guess big-ish, like 10, 15, big group of friends in high school, and we all got after it a lot. Like, and I remember going to college and being like, oh, I can't wait. Everyone's going to be on this level. And me
Yeah.
and one of my best friends from Situate went to the same college, and we were still like the only ones getting after it a lot. And I was like, oh, everyone didn't just like go to high school and just drink competitively. Like it's not really like drink, there's people that just go out and like drink.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like growing up, it was like, who can just drink the most and like how fucked up can we get? And I remember going to college and being like, wait, I thought everyone was like this.
Yeah.
It's college. And it was like,
Yeah.
no, like
Exactly.
we're still pushing the limit.
Exactly, same thing happened to me.
Yeah, I was in the same boat, and I was proud of it for a while. Like, I used to glorify blacking out. That is one thing I've stopped doing. I'm no longer proud of a blackout.
Yeah.
Like, even in college, I'd be like, dude, last night was insane. We blacked out so fast. But then it's like, you have zero memories of that night, and then you have no idea what you did, and you got that hangxiety. I think the hangxiety just gets worse as you get older.
Yeah.
So,
Especially now with Twitter. Like, you log in after a heavy night of drinking. Like, I don't drink nearly as much as I used to, but back in the day when I was getting after it, it'd be like, oh, God, what did I tweet?
Yeah.
Like, one time I tweeted at Carabas that he was a asshole.
yeah,
You know?
you don't.
Like, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It does. It was like it did because obviously when you're in high school and stuff, like these are your rivals. You're like, fuck kids from Cohasset, fuck kids from Hingham, like Norwell. It's like those are the people that are close to you that you're playing in sports and stuff, so you're rivals, and you know the kids' names and stuff, and like you might just have this made up rivalry. But then over the years, like in college years and even afterwards, it's like you realize you have much more in common with people from South Shore, and because it's like, oh yeah, like there is other people that are like just as degenerate.
Yeah.
So like I've actually made a lot of good post like college friendships with kids from like Norwell and Cohasset and stuff. But there was definitely, I remember like, even kids at the school I went to, it's like you thought you hate them, like, oh yeah, no, like you're the only one that's even somewhat like this.
Like our rivalry was Duxbury, and I fucking hated Duxbury in high school. And then one day in orientation for my freshman year, I was trying to find a roommate, and I was taking a piss next to a kid. For some reason it came up. It was like, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from Duxbury. And then I was like, all right, fuck this kid. But then I got to know him a little bit. I'm like, wait, he's kind of like me. Yeah. And we ended up being roommates, and we're still friends to this day. And it's like, Hank's right. It's like you hate these towns, but then you end up, you're like, oh shit, we're actually the exact same person.
My friends, I think, used to have to hang out with Scituate girls in order to get like hand jobs and blow jobs because the Cohasset girls were not putting
Scituate the
out.
hand job town?
Yeah.
It's pretty ratchet.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know
I
that.
remember there was like a story that went viral about people on the school bus on the way to school getting blowjobs in Scituate.
Oh shit.
Meanwhile, like everyone I
Not
knew
me,
in Cohasset was a virgin.
Wow.
I was like, damn. I mean, the grass is always greener on the other side.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. What do you think Hingham was? Hingham's like they don't even touch your dick. Like no tits or anything.
So then the
What's the word?
the girls in my
French.
Celibate?
No.
Abstinent?
Prude.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
what I don't know if this is true, but if this hypothetical scenario where Situate's the hand job town, I would guess Hingham is the prude town.
I think maybe in terms of girls, but I think the girls in Cohasset would then hook up with Hingham guys in order to get laid. So there was like a pecking order. Like the Cohasset guys were going for the Scituate girls, and the Hingham guys were going for the Cohasset girls.
I always get shit for like people to be like, you're a rich Hingham kid. I'm like, I'm not even from there technically. I moved there when I was 14, so I had spent 13 years on the Cape. So I don't even know if I really qualify as a Hingham guy at this point.
You graduated high school.
Yeah,
there.
if you went to high school there.
You think that's the rule?
I think, for me, where you went to high school is where you're from.
Okay. All right, then I'm a Hingham guy.
And Cohasset has a similar reputation. I would say it's very sheltered, there. But I think I've since been priced out of Cohasset. Like if I wanted to move back there now, I wouldn't
For sure.
be able to just because the house prices
Situate's
are
the hot in the
insane.
streets right now.
Yeah.
That's where everyone's moving.
I would say like 9 out of 12 of my high school friends have moved to Scituate.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's Irish Riviera.
Are you happy though? You guys have like had a chance to live outside of the South Shore though? Like have that experience?
I never thought I was going to leave Massachusetts as a whole before Barstool because I really had never been anywhere else. But I'm glad that I can see myself ending up there long term. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to explore other spots for the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, I would like to too. The first year I worked at Barstool, I was like 19, 20, and I lived at home for a year before I moved to Dorchester, and I couldn't go to the bars because I was 20, and like there's 2 bars, and like the bartenders and stuff. You can't like do a fake ID in a hometown bar, and everyone was at college, and I would just do nothing. Like every night it would be 8 o'clock, and like if I was driving around Scituate, it was a complete ghost town, and I got so sick of it that I was ready to move anywhere else. I would have thought I was going to be there forever too, but I kind of agree with Dana. I think if I in a few years, or like if I'm retiring, like I'd want to end up in Scituate, but it's definitely like it's a slower pace vibe.
Yeah.
And it doubles in population in the summer. Fun fact.
Great place. I would say it's my favorite place on earth during the summer.
Yeah.
Like my parents used to want to send me to camp, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to go to camp. Like, why can't I just like stay? And I think they were just worried about me drinking too much with friends, which makes sense. I will say South Shore guys at Barstool, very multi-talented. I think the 3 of us are some of the only people at the company that could drink 13 beers without getting belligerently drunk, as well as edit a YouTube video and star in a YouTube video.
That's a good point. I've never thought of that.
Sass edits his Call of Duty clips.
That's
He's
true.
got both sides. He can do both.
That's true. That's a good point, Donnie.
Gaz used to be an editor.
Yeah, but would Sass be able to drink 13 beers and not be belligerently drunk?
I don't know. I feel like he goes in and out of sobriety, or like just like I feel like if like his tolerance. I don't know where he's at now because I feel like stand up. There was times where it's like he's on the road all the time, drinking all the time, or he's just like I haven't drank in a month. But if you're going out and drinking 4 or 5 times a week, I'm sure he could.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were in high school, how'd you guys get your booze?
I don't want to name this specific place.
you
It might still be around, but there was a spot in Weymouth we would go to all the time, and it worked without. We had
Near the
one
Rotary?
friend. No, by McDonald's, kind of near that.
Honest to God, this is the most Massachusetts conversation ever. So the first 15 minutes has been, so where did you guys drink in high school? Like, it's exactly on brand for what you would think about you guys.
We had an upperclassman who would buy us stuff, and we would go to the same packy, and it always worked. That was it, and we get 30s of Keystone Light, and some Rubinoff. I don't know if
Raz Rube.
Yeah,
Just Wabos or Raz Rube. That's how it was like. It was like a handle of Raz Rube was like $12. You could split it up into like 3.5 water bottles, and so we'd be like, "Can you get me a Wabo of Raz Rube for like
Those things
$5?"
Fucked you up too.
Is that a brand? I've never heard
Yeah,
of
it's
that.
vodka.
I would
It's like shitty vodka
or Fleischmann's,
Like super bottom shelf?
Yes.
literally the cheapest.
plastic bottle.
Like
Yeah.
$12 for a handle?
Yeah, $5 for a Wabo. Though I have
a
one
Wabo?
a water bottle.
Oh, I've never heard that. I've never heard
Say that
Wabo.
like everybody knows that.
That's how we were literally like we strictly talked and just drinking Wabos. Like, can you get me? Like,
Oh, I
do you
like
have a
that.
Wabo?
Yeah, I
like,
like
that.
can you get me a Wabo?
We never said Wabo.
I got
brought up-
Wabos all over the
We said
office.
Mixies. You guys say Mixies?
I would say Mixies.
Yeah.
I guess like Nips is a Massachusetts saying.
Our
Nah,
town,
Nips
my
is all over.
my
Okay.
high school and my friends. I don't know if it was my grade, but a lot of people put IE on the end of a lot of things.
Okay.
Like yoga pants in high school were dancies, dance pants, because the dance team would wear them.
All right.
We call them dancies. If you were talking to a girl in high school, that's a workie.
Like a working girl?
You're
or-
working a girl. That's
Oh,
a
okay.
workie. Donkeys. A couple others.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like
Mickey's.
hockey lingo.
Yeah.
I would say by junior, senior year, we had like enough older people that we could consistently like, and we call it getting a run. Like, can you get us a run tonight? Like,
Yeah.
like how are we
for a
getting a
run.
run? But there was, I think probably freshman or sophomore year where we would like literally sit around. We didn't have cars and shit. We'd be like, how can we get beers? And just be going through phones and contacts. And
Yeah.
my freshman year, I did cross country because my mom would let me play football, but she's like, you have to do something. So I did cross country, and there was a senior at the time. So that next year he was in college. He might have been 21 already. And I remember it was like, it was literally, we were just sending out Hail Marys of like anyone you know that could maybe get us a run, like text him. And I texted him, and he's like, who is this? So I said I was an upperclassman that he was actually friends with. I was like, oh, yo, it's Demps. Like, can you get me beers? Because he never would have said yes to me. And he's like, all right, yeah, like whatever,
Wow.
I'll figure it out. And he fucking pulled up and was like, what the fuck? He was so mad. So mad. He was wanting to drive away. And I was like, please. He's like, all right, fine, here, just fucking take it. But he was furious.
That's a move.
Those were like the desperation.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we need at all costs.
Seeing we have a man of God here, or a former man of God,
Yeah,
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
In high school, I used to work at this place, and it was a retreat for priests, Jesuit priests that worked at BC College. And I think this is past the statute of limitations, so I can talk about this. But I would just work in the kitchen, prepping meals and stuff, and they had the largest liquor cabinet I have ever seen, just filled with 30 racks, all the nicest whiskeys, all types of booze. And so, like, as I was leaving on a Friday, I would usually just take a 30 rack and handle of whiskey from the priests.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the least of the Catholic Church's wrongs at that same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Church is one of the richest organizations in the world. They can afford you having a 30 rack.
Okay, so I don't have to feel bad about
I don't think so.
stealing from
No.
the priests
No.
in high school.
I used to steal from like my parents' stuff. That was about it. I never really went. I never like stole from an institution of any sort, but I think stealing is fine
I love stealing.
at that age.
Yeah, when
My
you're in high
parents-
school, you gotta steal.
My parents don't drink either, so like and by the time I had an older brother and sister, so by the time I was going into our reserves, like they were already, depleted and already like my brother or sister had gone in there and like
Watered
filled
it
it up
down?
and watered down. But my mom, I don't know if she did this to me specifically or she was trying to set up my brother or sister, but it was like a Russian vodka or a Russian bottle. And I was probably 16, 17, so I had no idea what it actually tasted like, but I was like, this is all I can get. Filled up a Wabo of that. And I drank it. I was like, this tastes really bad. And I, at one point, burped out a bubble. And she put, like, dishwasher or some type of soap in the bottle, and I drank the full thing. Because I just thought it was, like, a Russian,
shit.
like, I thought that was just, like, the type of booze it was.
You ever do a
And I got
wobble?
so sick.
You ever do a wobble in the gooch
Oh, yeah.
to get through a house?
Yeah, if you fill it up, like, halfway, and then you can, like, suck all the air out.
Yep.
Oh,
Put
yeah.
it in
Put
your
it in your
waistline.
pants. Yeah.
Walk by the parents.
Yeah, that's how I got into my semi-formal dance. I had a Wabo in the pants.
Yeah.
I drank it, and then I was just telling every girl on the dance floor that I loved them. It was not okay. I was like a junior, like talking to freshmen, being like, "I think I love you."
That's the old school swiping right on everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Wobbo. I've never
Wa-
thought.
yeah.
I like wobbo.
Wabo.
I don't. It's just unfortunate that I can't ever really use it anymore because I'm past the wobbo days.
What I do think is unique to the South Shore, though, is drinking on sandbars. Actually, no, that's not unique to this. They do that everywhere in Florida. What the fuck am I talking about?
Pensacola, firm disagree.
Yeah, all right. What the fuck am I talking about? But yeah, at the exit of Coasset Harbor, they have Bassings Beach, where you could either just take like a 1-minute boat ride over, or you could swim over, and get bombed. And then in Situate, you have the Spit, which is like a spit of sand at the exit of the harbor, where you go and chuck knucks.
Gas beers. That was Ryan Whitney's first PMT. Well, I was at the Spit, and like the weekend before, and we basically got in like an all-out brawl with a bunch of kids from Norwell. We were like trying to, putting all our beers in the cooler, and this kid was drunk and like flipped the cooler and just knocked trash everywhere. Turned into a brawl. There was no like, if you get out there, you're out there. There's not really any way for like it to get broken up. So it turned into a brawl, and I told Big Cat and PFT about it, and then we had Whitney on. They're like, "Oh, you ever get in a fight in the Spit?" And that's what he said. "Oh yeah, gassing beers and chucking knucks." One of the greatest phrases to this day. I have a great Bassin story too, or it's not great, but it's even more. It was most chaotic scene in my life, I think.
I would love to hear it.
So Bassins, you can go from the Cohasset side, and it's like you can actually walk out there. There's another way from like Situate Minot Beach, which is we went there for July 4th, and the tides worked out where it was super low tide at like 8 o'clock at night, so you could actually walk across. So me and it was probably like 15. It was like close friends. It was like a couple kids a year older, a couple kids a year younger, but it was like a good, solid group. We went out there. We brought tents and stuff. This was for July 4th. Built a fire. Got absolutely bombed. Had an unbelievable time. And then the next year, word had kind of got out like how fun it was. And the next year we tried to do the same thing again. The tides were not lined up, so it was like people had to walk with coolers like in like halfway full water, and like. It might have been 80 to 100 people, and it was like people you don't know. It was just chaotic. It wasn't as controlled, and similar to the Spit, which I guess gas and beers, chuck and knucks, a massive brawl broke out, and it was the same thing where it's like no one's breaking this up. Like I remember in the middle of it, like trying to like hold people back, and then another fight broke out over here, another fight broke out over there. Girls are fucking screaming, crying, like. Nothing was stopping this fight. It went on for like 30, 45 minutes, just absolute chaos. And then all the, girls were like crying, like, I want to go home. It was high tide at that point, so they tried to go home and had to like swim. Oof. I thought it was kind of funny. Just remember like literally like I was with a group of girls that were like crying their eyes out, like in water up to their neck, like just trying to get back to shore at like midnight.
I feel like Norwell's a big fight town.
Yeah. The Wellians.
Dude, you got to be careful with those tides. I was telling you this story, but I worked as a park ranger on an island right off of the South Shore, one of the Boston Harbor Islands. And I was on Bumpkin Island, where at low tide, there was a small little sandbar that connected to the mainland. And I wasn't supposed to leave the island, but I heard some of my friends were at a bar in Hull that was connected to Bumpkin Island at low tide. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to read the tide chart, plan it out where I walk over, get drunk for 2 hours, and then I can walk back. So I walk over, I get absolutely bombed, and I read the tide chart completely wrong. So when I get back, I'm trying to find that little spit that leads to the island, but the tides had already gone way up. And I'm wearing boots and my full park ranger uniform. Eventually, I just give up and just get in the water, and I end up swimming all the way out to the island at like 2 a.m, wearing boots.
All right.
Not the safest,
No.
but
You ever go to World's End?
I did go to World's End, and a quick historical fact, the UN was almost on World's End. There was a proposal to have the United Nations there. But, yeah, I don't know.
In Hingham?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. World's End's like this big peninsula. It's now a park. But at one point, they were just going to build the UN there.
I mean, the amount of hotels that they would have to build for that would be
insane.
crazy.
Yeah. I guess they would just stay in Boston and then like boat everybody there.
Those used to be some of the finest party days. The little raft ups. You put like 15 boats in a row, and you kind of just walk across the boats to whoever you want to hang out with. You hang out in the water. The raft ups in World's End were some of my finest drinking days ever, I would say.
So Shutter Island's kind of
Yeah.
South Shore.
Shutter Island was filmed on Peddocks Island, which is right off the coast of Hull. And that's where I was a park ranger most of the time.
It was?
Yeah.
Really?
They filmed a lot of it there.
Oh, shit.
It's like a homeless shelter now.
No, I think they fixed it up. There was an old World War I fort out there where they kept Italian prisoners of war. And if you walked into one of the old forts, you could see the drawings that they drew. Like looking out the window, they would just like paint boats and stuff. And the drawings were still up on the wall, drawn by these like Italian guys back in the 1940s. It's pretty crazy. I was a bad park ranger though. Like at one point, people showed up and they're like, "We read on the pamphlet that you guys offer wild edibles tours." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I can give you one of those." And so I just walked around the island being like, "I think you can eat this." Yeah, sure, try eating this. I had no idea what I was doing. Like,
And
thankfully,
you kept doing that at Barstool camp.
yeah. And then I tried to bring that back at Camp Barstool and like almost killed you.
Yeah.
'Cause
Some of the most severe diarrhea I've ever had.
I brought back some shrooms that you like. I think you had touched one and then maybe touched your mouth.
Yeah. Like, so I had just touched it and only smoked. Like, and touched my lips just a little bit and probably licked my lips after, and that was all it took.
You ever eat sassafras?
Yeah, that's the stuff that tastes like root beer.
Yeah. Well, we used to eat that all the fucking time as a kid.
Yeah.
That shit was bomb. You know what I'm talking about, Fingy?
I actually don't.
I think he has no idea.
It's a plant that you find in the wild, and it tastes like root beer.
And then I'm very anti drunk driving, but there was an incident where I was a park ranger, didn't drink and drive, but I kayaked to a party on one of the other islands, and this was on the other side of Boston Harbor. Got bombed at this party and then woke up back on my island. I mean, like no recollection of what happened. I had to run out and like see that the kayak was there. The kayak was there. I somehow kayaked across Boston Harbor in the middle of the night,
Holy
like
shit.
dodging party boats.
That's impressive.
Don't do that, kids. No. One story. So, like, my first interaction with Hank, you had been watching my vids before I worked for Barstool Sports, and I think we had DM'd on Twitter or whatever. And I was finally able to get some videos in front of Dave, and I was like, "Can I film a Super Bowl Monday video, like after the Pats win the Super Bowl from China?" Just like me, because like the Super Bowl airs at Monday morning in China, and then the Pats were playing. I had a good feeling they were going to win, so I was going to film a celebration vid afterwards. And he was like, "Yeah, like I'll pay you $500 to make this vid. We'll post it on Barstool." And so I hired a camera guy for $100, filmed the video, made it, sent it to Dave. Don't hear a word back. I keep on trying to reach out to them. Don't hear anything back. Finally, I reach out to you, and you're like, "Yeah, well, you know what? Like, here's the login to the Barstool blog. Like, I think it's cool if you just post it." And so this was like 4 years before I worked for Barstool, and I had the login to the entire blog. But I was like, I'm not going to post it without like hearing from Dave, because I feel like that could go wrong. But a week passed, still no word. So I was a little pissed off because I had already hired a guy for $100. So I was like, I don't want to fuck with the blog too much, but I'm just going to do one thing that might like rattle people's shoes. At this point, Dave had just written a blog shitting on some protesters that had like handcuffed themselves in the middle of traffic for some reason and like fucked up everyone's commute. And then who's that hacker? That
Anonymous or Spooky Ghost.
Anonymous was like, "You're fucked, Portnoy. Like, I'm going to come after you for shitting on these protesters." So then I thought it would be funny. I just like changed one of the photos on the back end of the blog, like their like profile photo to a picture of Anonymous.
Damn.
And I swear at one point I was watching the rundown and KFC was like, I think there's a chance we have already been hacked by Anonymous.
And that's when
Has Dave ever said anything about this?
I've never told Dave.
That's funny.
Anonymous was scary at the time too.
Very scary.
Like they were on all the big Twitter accounts hacking it and releasing all kinds of personal information.
Yeah. So I just wanted to rattle some boots, but I loved Barstool too much to actually fuck with it. But it was crazy that Hank gave me the login because I guess at that point if I wanted to just like crazy, delete the website,
especially
I could.
Knowing now what like DevNest did and like how easy that old system was to corrupt.
When was that?
2014.
I think it was after the Seattle Super Bowl. Wow. Yeah, it was probably 2014. But thank you for trusting me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was the 1 year I went to school, SNU, before I went to film school, I was like, realized I hated doing regular college, and I remember seeing your videos on YouTube. I think Dave posted a couple of them, but then I literally, it still is like your old YouTube channel is like the only channel I was like subscribed to like for a long time. But seeing you make those videos was like, I want to be doing something like this and not in like regular college. So that was actually a big moment for me. Big fan. That's why I trusted you.
I also never knew you were from Cohasset when I used to watch your videos. And I think I found out like 2 years into being coworkers. So
yeah,
like,
same.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we ended up having a mutual friend.
We saw each other at Bassig's Beach.
Yep, I definitely remember running into Dana Beers at Bassig's
like,
Beach
you're
once.
From here?
Bassig's Beach was the best. That's where I drank my last day of high school. We all went out there, and we're just like sitting around a fire pit. It's the middle of the day, so we don't have a fire going, but we're gassing beers, and then some like cops walk out of the woods, and we all just run, and we like ran through a marsh for like a good 45 minutes, just hopping in and out of ditches.
Yeah.
That's what's being in a coastal town. It was good in high school where it was like, can't find a house to go to. Let's just go to the beach.
Yeah.
And there used to be like, we would strategically pick beaches where, because obviously it just runs, there's 5 different beaches, but it's all on the same line. And we would just pick spots where if the cops are coming from one side, you could just run the other way.
Yeah, I was never too
they
good.
never were smart enough
to
sandwich us.
Now,
Hummerock was one of the worst blackouts I've ever had. Hummerock on New Year's.
Well, Hummerock used to do this.
It's not New Year's.
Oh,
when was their 4th of July?
4th of July.
Yeah.
They used to do
fireworks.
They used to do these they used to let the people in Hummerock do these huge bonfires for forever. Like that was everyone would go there 4th of July. Every house that had a beach house it was like it was basically like a bonfire competition. And the year before I started working at Barstool, I worked for the town of Scituate, so just doing like taking out the trash, cutting, mowing the lawn and shit. And the town outlawed bonfires. First time ever. And so on July 2nd or July 3rd, we had to go with the town trucks and take away all of people's supplies. And it was literally like we were like going up to people's houses and there was like, little kids on the steps like crying and people just like hating us. Like I've never felt more hated in my life than having to go. And like we would go there every 4th of July too. Like it was a tradition. We had to show up and just be like, "Hey, sorry, we got to take all your shit." And people were not happy. I still feel bad about it to this day. I remember one girl literally like it was like the dad explaining to her what's happening and she was just like crying.
The Grinch who stole the 4th of July.
Yeah. And 3rd of July. That's 3rd of July for whatever reason. South Shore is the celebration day, not 4th.
Now, would you drink on beaches a lot growing up in Pensacola, or
No, I was way too Christian for that.
You grew up in Pensacola?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. So when you guys went down to Floribama, I gave Eddie all the hot spots to go to.
It was fun
in that area. Yeah, I lived all over the place when I was young, but ended up in high school in Pensacola. But yeah, I broke up with my girlfriend and from college and high school because she showed me her titties. It was done.
Oh,
Get
shit.
out of here.
The,
Yep.
the nerve.
Yeah, I was like, we had been together for like 3 years, and she was going to Florida State, and she took her shirt off in front of me. And I was like, we're done. And I left her house and drove 2.5 hours back to where I went to school.
Because you were like, she's trying to corrupt me?
Yeah. I was like, you're just trying to make me stumble and make me not do what I need to do. You don't respect me and what I'm doing, so I'm done with you.
So would you call yourself evangelical
Yes.
back then?
Back
Oh, wow.
then, for sure. Very much so.
Damn.
Like, I was going to be a Baptist minister.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like as Southern as it gets. My grandfather was for like 40 years.
And you went to school for that, right?
Yeah, I went to Bible school and then joined the Marine Corps. Only because I went to a church to interview, and a dude was like, he had gone to Vietnam, and he was like, what are you going to teach me about wisdom? And I was like, nothing. So I joined the Marine Corps. And
To gain some wisdom.
now I talk like I do on here. Very different.
Let's go. So when did you finally realize it's okay to touch boobs?
The first time I touched one, like I got a little. And
You're
I was
like, okay.
Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I like
I got
those.
fucked up with
Yeah.
the ex.
This can't be
I
a
was like,
sin.
nipples in person are fucking awesome.
Let's go.
A little bumpy, like Braille.
Growing up in Florida, would you ever eat buffalo chicken calzones?
No.
No. Okay. I think even like outside of Massachusetts, I don't see a lot of buffalo chicken
The
calzones.
calzones in New York are like, they call them calzones, but they just have ricotta. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
And bread.
Yeah.
And they're not sliced properly. Like it's just you get one big calzone.
Yeah.
Or like it's cut in half.
The
Yeah.
calzones in Massachusetts are elite.
Yeah. And like we got to shout out Crow Point Pizzeria,
Yes, we do.
which is in Hingham. It's the best.
They
buffalo
had new
chicken
management.
calzone.
And
Cosmos.
they just got bought, and I was worried it was going to change. Exact same. Kept the same recipe. Nothing changed. Mm-hmm. So all the Hingham people, anyone that was wondering, it's all good.
Would you guys do drafts?
Of what? Oh yeah, for
You
pieces.
split a calzone and then
Yeah.
you-
Oh,
I would
for
always
sure,
take the
like
corner.
like a pitcher.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've.
No,
I think that
like
was the
you no,
first-
you like we would split a calzone and then I would take a piece, you would take a piece.
Oh,
And that's
I
how we
don't
split
think
it up.
I've ever heard of a buffalo calzone until you just said it. I don't think I've ever even seen.
It's
one.
my favorite thing to eat.
Really?
Yes.
Is it like mozzarella and buffalo chicken, essentially?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one at Crow Point is breaded buffalo chicken, blue cheese, probably some mozzarella cheese, buffalo sauce.
Oh my! I gotta get a picture.
Celery.
Of it.
No celery inside the calzone, no.
Okay.
And then you dip it in blue cheese. It's incredible. I mean, I haven't seen any calzones here in Chicago either, or a buffalo chicken calzone. I think buffalo chicken might be one of the most American foods out there
Holy
because
shit,
you
what's
don't
so
really
good?
see buffalo chicken in Europe
No,
at all.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Oh, is this a
Because now you
Chaps.
find hamburgers everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, cheeseburgers everywhere. I mean, the best smash burger I've had in my life
Yeah,
was,
that looks good.
There was this
Paris.
spot in Hingham that I used to get before basketball games. It was called Sub Galley, and they had this calzone that was like, have you had Gold Fever? Obviously, from the nines. No,
I've been to the Nines.
you've
before.
never had Gold Fever,
Are those like the golden
honey
golden
mustardy
chicken?
type of ones,
Okay, I
barbecuey.
would always go to TK's in Situate for
They
their
have Gold Fever.
Goldfinger pizza.
Finger pizza.
Yeah, that's the sauce I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Sub Galley had one of those. That's my. I'm getting married this May. I'm hoping. I said to my buddies because it closed down like 6 years ago. Like the only gift I want from you is somehow bring back a Gold Fever calzone for me. I don't know how you do it. Talk to the former owners or so. I don't know what you have to do. At the end of my wedding and the after party, I need a Gold Fever calzone. So I'm praying to God they actually make it happen somehow. But shout out Sub Galley. That was my go-to.
Chef Donnie might be able to concoct something. It's kind of just like a golden barbecue sauce.
Yeah. You were never a big Nines guy?
I wasn't a huge. So you're talking about that Nines right on
No, the 99 restaurant.
3A, right?
Yeah.
99.
There's one
Yeah.
in Hingham. There's one in Rockland.
I would not go there a lot. I would go to Ocean Kai, a Chinese
Of course,
spot.
Scorps.
Yeah, I mean South Shore also incredible Chinese food. In the South Shore, this might just be a Massachusetts thing, but Keno is huge. Yeah. So
It's
you
quick
just-
draw in New York. I found that out. It's the same exact thing.
Keno's big with the olds in Florida too.
Oh, yeah. There's a place called the Scuttlebutt Lounge in Situate. That was just Keno.
Does it still
We were just-
exist?
oh yeah, and at Hennessy's in the harbor.
It's a great
Really?
name for a bar.
Scuttlebutt. No, it's not even a bar. It's literally just like it's a convenience store, and they just have a little like area in the back with couches and the Keno thing. And like my senior year, we would go there with Wabos and just like get drunk and play Keno.
Keno? Oh my god.
We should get a Keno machine in here.
Oh, I love Keno.
Dude, it's the best.
I met a guy living in the tunnels below Las Vegas, and I was like, "How'd you end up down here?" And he was like, "Meth and Keno."
I mean, this is like obviously it's like when you're in high school, like you had no money. Like it was like we all had. I worked at a grocery store, and it's like you get $80 a week, and then you spend it. And I think I made like a bet with my friend or something. He owed me like $200, which was I never even expected him. Like I knew he was never paying me.
But
Like,
that's
it was
a
like,
lot of money.
so much money. But it was so much money that he was never going to pay it to me. And we were sitting in the scuttlebutt. I wasn't even playing. He was. I was like, what would you do? Because I think if you do 5 numbers, you go 5 for 5, you win $450. Because that's if you win more than 500, you have to go through like the lottery and shit. So 450 was like the most you could make and cash out that day. And I was like, what would you do if you won 450? He's like, I'd pay you back, or like I'd pay you off. And he won like the next turn. It was like the most electric moment
That's
of my
awesome.
life when I was 17.
The a rite of passage in the South Shore is jumping off the Border Street Bridge.
Yep.
Have you ever done it, Dana?
I haven't. I've been with people that have done it, and I just didn't do it for some reason.
That's
All the
surprising
bridges.
that you didn't do it.
I don't know why. I was just
You're
like,
an
eh.
adventurous dude.
I was like, it didn't really look exciting to me. I don't know why.
It's
How
also
high is it?
I'm not a bridge guy.
I love bridges.
you're not a bridge guy. Yeah, I
No.
mean, I jumped off that, and I also jumped off Minot's Light, which is like a giant lighthouse
see,
off the
yeah.
coast. That's probably 3 times as big
That's
as the
kind
bridge.
of nuts.
But
What about the cliffs? You ever go to the cliffs?
Parachi in Minot.
No, the cliffs in Hingham. That's the one I know people jump off.
the World's End cliffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have jumped off those.
I don't know Parachi.
There was cliffs. There was 2. It was, which is crazy to say. Like my summer, like when we were, probably like 7th, 8th freshman year, like a summer day would just be like riding our bikes to Cohasset, jumping off the bridge, and like that would take like 5 hours. That'd be our
Exactly.
day. There was also a place in Minot where you could only jump in high tide. It was jumping off rocks into like a very small window. There was one named Parachi and one named Fields, both because those are the name of the people that died doing it. That's when we would be like, oh, let's go jump off Parachi, and like that would be a day.
I
Thinking
still-
back, it's like that.
I
it's
still have
kinda
a
crazy.
scar on my knee from when I was like 13. They have rapids underneath the bridge that you can like ride down, and my friend rode down the rapids at low tide, and I was like, is it safe? And he puts a thumbs up. He's like, yeah, man, go ahead. So then I ride the rapids. I get completely shredded up by the rocks, and then he climbs out and he's completely bleeding too. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? He was like, well, I had already gotten fucked up. I wanted you to go through it too. And now I just have a scar on my knee.
I did the 3A bridge, Marshfield Bridge, and
Cunningham?
Cohasset.
Cunningham Bridge?
Is that the one in Marshfield?
No, that's another bridge in Cohasset. I don't know if we're getting too detailed on the South Shore for our listeners.
It's pretty detailed. I have no idea.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
you
say,
have no
like,
idea.
shit,
Talking about it all.
I don't really know the structure of the show. Is it just like you pick a spot and you talk about it? Because if so, we're doing a great job.
Yes, but this is the most like zeroed in.
Yeah,
we've
like-
done so we've done like the state of Mississippi. We've done the Philippines as a country.
Okay, yeah.
And stuff. We're doing like one specific region of Massachusetts where we all grew
but
up.
the people that live there will love it. I can guarantee you that.
Yes.
And honestly, it sounds a lot like Florida. I didn't do that, but I didn't drink and touch titties. But I did jump from bridges. I did all of that kind of bullshit. And a lot of my friends were constantly drinking. So I think it does. I mean, you're basically telling high school stories from across the country, jumping from bridge and drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
And then eating food.
I mean, it is a very rich historical place too. Situate, I think, was like so Plymouth was obviously the first colony on the eastern seaboard that was settled by the English. But then Situate, I think, was number 3 or something.
Can we talk about the rock? It's a shitty rock.
Terrible rock.
It's
The
just-
Plymouth
I've
Rock.
touched it.
Yeah,
It's just that's illegal. I
I
think.
know.
it is
Probably
illegal.
badass on a field trip.
And for some reason, back in like the 90s or maybe the 80s, people tried to blow up Plymouth Rock.
Honestly, that'd be pretty sick.
And so now there's just a giant crack down the rock.
It's not a good rock.
And it's also, they have proven it's like not the rock where the Pilgrims landed. They just chose a random rock.
Why would you be like, oh yeah, there's a 3-foot rock. Everything is going to be based on this 3-foot
It has
rock.
its a museum.
Every field trip, so it's like every town would just go on field trips to Plymouth.
Those are disappointing moments when you go to a super historical site and you're like, this place sucks,
Yep.
man.
That's how
Like
every
the
time.
Liberty Bell, who gives a fuck?
Mount Rushmore. I haven't been there, but I feel like everyone we've talked about going, and everyone's like it's the most disappointing thing you could go to.
Because you have to go way out of the way, and then you're like, oh, it's
You just
pretty
see it.
far away,
and then you
it's
walk
small.
away.
Like it doesn't look big.
Like-
you think it's monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was 1976. A bomb exploded last night in an apparent attempt to blow up Plymouth Rock. The rock was undamaged. It's just a fucking rock. It's kind of, but it's like, I want to know if that was like a domestic terrorist or if it's just a few kids being like, wouldn't it be hilarious?
That would be the
if we
worst
blew
domestic
up?
terrorist of all time.
Yeah.
We're going to destroy their worst historical landmark.
We're gonna fuck you up. We're gonna fuck up your rock.
They're going to be so pissed.
They also, so near Plymouth Rock, they have Plymouth Plantation, where it's a recreation of what the Pilgrim Village was like. And then they have a Native American village too. And my friend was saying when he went with his family, like all of the actors pretending to be pilgrims are super into it. And they're really trying to portray how someone would act in the 1600s. But then when they went to the Native American village, they're all just, mailing it in, being like, all right, this job sucks, like smoking Marlboro Reds and stuff like that. Just cranking hoons, being like, I do not give a fuck about this.
I also feel like you guys probably same. There was always rumors about celebrities moving to Situate. No one ever did, but it was always like,
Steve Carell?
Ben Affleck
Steve
and
Carell
like
lives in
J-Lo
Cohasset now.
are moving. Like Tom Brady was like always looking at
Belichick.
properties in
Yeah.
In Cohasset. Like it was always a thing, or like but Brad Marr, it was like, oh, these people are moving here. None of them ever happened.
I think Belichick lived in
He lives in
Black Rock
Yeah.
and Hingham.
Yeah, he belonged
And
to that
Carell lived in either Marshfield or Hingham
He still
or
lives
something.
in Marshfield.
club. He
His nephew
bought
went
a
to high
house
school with.
on the street where I grew up, actually, now, because his wife was from Cohasset, so they decided to buy a spot there. And I
Yeah.
think he tries to spend as little time in Hollywood as possible.
Yeah.
Also, the best part about Cohasset and core high school memory, this was like a daily occurrence, was just because it was like 15 minutes away from Situate. There's a road on the water called Jerusalem Road, which is literally just
the best.
every single house is like a crazy mansion, like crazy, but they're all very unique. And it was like 10, 15 minutes away. Roll a blunt, Drew's Cruise.
Drew's Cruise.
Drew's Cruise, the Cohasset 500, did you ever call it that?
We did Situate 500, but
Okay, yeah. And so
Drew's could be like going
yeah.
Drew's Cruise. It was like,
You
yeah,
want to hear the opposite of Drew's Cruise? We used to go on Hull runs, and we would drive through that main road at Hull and just yell at people.
the alphabet
Jesus
streets.
Christ, that's not nice. That is really not
Well,
nice.
that's what you do in high school. You fuck with people.
Yeah.
There,
big time.
there was, still feel really bad about this, but once we all got our driver's license, the first thing everybody did was like, we're going to drive to Taco Bell after high school. So that's what we would do. And on the way back, there was this one house that was built just way too close to the road. It was pretty much just like on the road. And everyone in our high school driving by that house would just throw all their trash at that house. And sometimes they'd have like a window open and just be throwing it into the house. And they eventually, like after a year, we drove by and like all their windows were just boarded up. They just had to board up that side of the house.
God, that's got to be so terrible coming home and you got just a bod full of shit.
God damn it. Yeah, that was Queen Anne's Corner,
Yep.
Taco Bell. That was like where you had to go for fast food.
Was that did you work at that one?
Oh yeah, drive through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your dad was a franchisee.
When did
Yeah.
you drive through?
I did it junior year into my senior year, summer.
I
It was honestly
definitely
fun.
got Taco Bell from you.
Oh
man.
yeah, like after 10 o'clock, because like you could be like, oh, are you there? Be like, yeah, you just fuck with people because they're high. Like I was just doing like comedy routines.
I absolutely got Taco Bell from Hank before I knew him.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Damn.
Because we used to go all the time when we were high.
Now, if we want to expand outside the South Shore, you could just ask us some travel-related questions in general. I know you have a wedding coming up. Do you have the honeymoon planned yet?
That's what I needed some advice on. We have a few options we're looking at. We're not booking until later in the year, but it's either like probably a tropical island or somewhere like Greece. One of those. Greece is my number one, but have you guys been?
I've not
Or
been
some
to Greece.
Mediterranean island of some sort.
Been to Sicily.
Okay. Talk to me about Sicily.
It's beautiful. Like, have you? What was that show that's on HBO? White Lotus.
The White Lotus season 2, right?
Season 2 is based in. So if you've seen that,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like if you like mob history, there's a lot of stuff to do there.
Yeah.
Because Palermo is in Sicily.
Okay.
Some of the like breakfast. If you're a huge breakfast guy, they have the best blood oranges in the world.
I'm a huge breakfast guy.
They're
I can
grown
tell you
there.
that.
So like the mimosas and shit that you could get there.
Yeah.
The Italian food is a little bit different than what you would experience in like mainland Italy, and it's relatively affordable. Like it's a spot where you could do that, and there's a shit ton of people who speak English. Like it's a
That's important.
big expo. There's two Navy bases that are there, so there's a lot of people that have grown up around American military members, so they speak English pretty well.
Yeah, that's a big part. I don't want to get caught somewhere where I'm just like pointing at fucking menus and I don't know, asking what everything means. I don't know.
The arancini in Sicily are incredible.
Yes.
Rice balls?
Rice balls.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it was invented. The rice ball was invented in Sicily.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, rice balls and cannolis were kind of invented there.
Cannolis kind of stink, though.
They do.
Yeah.
They look so good and they taste so bad.
I think Italian desserts are some of the worst.
Yeah,
Tiramisu, shout out.
You ever been to like a Bora Bora type place?
I have. That's actually where I went
You
on
went
my
to
honeymoon.
Bora Bora?
Yeah.
All right, then feed me that.
And
'cause-
we did an episode on Bora Bora. I fucked up though a lot, so I used my credit card points to get an over the water bungalow, but I booked it for November 25th instead of December 25th, and I could not get the points back. And so, but we were still going to go to Bora Bora. I mean, those resorts, they have all these resorts on this really thin island that surrounds the main island of Bora Bora.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to stay because you get incredible views. They are extremely pricey. We ended up getting an Airbnb that was like on the main island, but then we just booked all these tours that take you out into the lagoon and stuff. Had a great time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, like those resorts around Bora Bora are some of the best in the world.
So what are like the activities you do when you're there?
Snorkeling, you'll see like a lot of manta rays, leopard rays, tons of cool fish. You can jet ski. You can just post up on the beach and go hippo mode.
Yep.
Slug beers.
Sounds like basically
could-
everything you did growing up, but just in
Yeah.
Bora Bora.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I don't know about the
Think you
Buffalo
can-
Calzone, though. I don't know if they have those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can rent ATVs, but yeah, I think if you're in Bora Bora, you'd probably just be kind of hanging out on your resort because it's
Chilling.
not a huge island. There's
Yeah.
not a ton to do.
It's an option.
If you go to Greece, there's probably more you could do. Now, Greece, some of the islands get like very touristy, like Mykonos, Santorini, but they look absolutely incredible. And some other possibilities, which would probably be cheaper than Greece, but are just as beautiful, are Croatia, the whole Croatian coast. There's this island called Hvar off of Croatia, which is like a big vacation destination. Beautiful. Dubrovnik, which is where King's Landing was filmed for Game of Thrones.
Ibiza.
And then
Ibiza.
if you really want a suggestion out of left field, I always try to convince people to do their honeymoon here. Albania.
Really?
Very close to Greece, but probably a third the price.
Okay.
They do.
I've heard Santorini a lot.
The new crew will be there for sure.
The
A lot of
dude's
people
from
with Caesar
Albania?
haircuts.
Yeah, we do have to get Nadu on for an episode of Albania. Although, like, he reps Albania so much, he has never been, I don't think.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah.
You should just go with them for a video.
Definitely.
Oh, man. Donnie and Nadu would
Yeah.
be wild.
Albania is a wild place. I think, like, blood feuds are legal there. So if someone has, like, wronged your family, you can, like, legally,
Fuck them up.
yeah,
Wow.
fuck them up. They'd be like, oh, that's just part of this like 200-year-old blood feud that you two guys have got going.
You actually could do that in Illinois.
Blood feuds
it's still on the books. Like, so with all the big gangs here, they can have their big fights. And the reason why you don't see a lot of gang activities go to the court system here in state court is because they have mutually agreed upon combat that is still on the books. And they're actually trying to change it in Springfield where that's no longer on the books. Because once they go into, like, if you get, like, once you get indicted, the attorneys can fight. And both attorneys will say it was mutually agreed upon combat. And there's not much you could do after that.
Holy
the only
shit.
thing that you could do is weapons charges, but then you don't know who actually shot. Because typically they'll do, like, group you in with everybody, like conspirators, like co-conspirators, co-criminal defendants. And in Illinois, that's not a thing anymore. Like, you just get rid of it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good to know, though.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. At least that's what I read on Reddit.
Yeah.
It might not be true, so we might get fact-checked by some lawyers, but it would make sense.
It sounds true to me. And Hank, how about you? I mean, you are a young dude making solid money. I'm sure would like to take a trip at some point when you got time off from the pod.
Yeah, I want to go to like Europe but it's got to be an extended period of time. That's where it's like I feel like it's not worth it if you're gonna fly for a day and a half, be there for like 3 days, and then fly for another day and a half. I would love to just go for like a month, but obviously that's not really in the works.
You could do a week though, maybe, like right after football season. If you just like after the Super Bowl, fly to Europe for a week.
Sweden, I really want to go to Sweden. Merles has sold me pretty hard on that. It seems awesome. Switzerland, Ireland.
Have you done Oktoberfest?
No,
That's what I want to do really bad.
Me too.
you should do it, and I think you could get it approved.
I wanted to initially do that for my bachelor party, but that would have been a disaster. So now I just want to do it for fun.
Yeah. No, we should do it. Like Pongzai at one point was telling me it was his dream to do it.
Really?
And I was like, it would be my dream to
wanna
bring
do
you
it
to
so bad.
Oktoberfest if it's just like you, me, and Pongzai.
And
There.
Deutsch.
Jamal.
And Deutsch. You were the one who connected me to Ronnie Deutsch.
I thought I did. Said that, and I wasn't totally sure.
Yeah.
I think I found Deutsch.
Yeah, because I was doing a drinking show over COVID
yeah.
where people from the U.S. would challenge Pongzai to any sort of drinking competition. You were on the first episode, and Pongzai beat you.
He fucking killed me.
Yeah. And then I think you were like, you know who you should have on your show? This guy, Ronnie Deutsch.
He sent me this video, or he tagged me in this video of him dunking a basketball. He threw it up in the air, and before the ball landed, he drank a beer, caught the ball, and dunked it. I was like, how is that even possible? Like, physically.
Superhuman.
And then, yeah, I think that's how Deutsch became Deutsch.
And
Just
yeah,
skyrocketed from there.
yes. And he got his name from just a commercial that used to be on TV in Massachusetts all the time, being like, "Hi, I'm Ronnie Deutsch."
Yeah, I used to
Some
think
sort
it was
of
his
attorney.
real name for a while.
Yeah, it'd
I don't
be
want
a great name.
to disappoint anyone, but my name's also not Dana Beers.
Sweden, I think you would want to visit over the summer. Mm-hmm. You should go to one of those midsummer festivals, but like not get sewn inside a bear and lit on fire. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Midsummer? Have you?
No.
Dana, I feel like there was something you said at lunch because we had hibachi for lunch, and you walked over. We were all shooting the sake gun into our mouths, and you were like, "Oh, sake bombs!" And then we sprayed some in your mouth, and you were like, "Wait, is there alcohol in this?" So you just had no idea that sake was an
I've had it
alcoholic drink?
before. I thought it was just like what they put in your mouth when you're eating hibachi.
Oh, but
I thought it was like some sort of like, I don't know, not seasoning, but like something that goes with your food. I don't fucking know. 'Cause I feel like I've seen them give it to kids.
They might have a non-alcoholic
All right,
version for
then
kids.
that's
which
probably
is
why
just
I'm confused.
grape juice, but yeah, sake is like the most common booze in Japan.
Okay,
It's great. It's made from fermented rice.
that's good to know.
It's great.
It
to
was
know.
pretty. Yeah, it was pretty good. Didn't taste a whole lot like alcohol. What are you laughing at, Fingy?
I mean, if
Fingy, did you really not know my name was Dana Beers?
No, I knew that.
All right, good.
But have you ever taken a sake bomb?
I don't know.
That's when you drop a shot of sake into a beer? And then...
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Wow. So you're pretty much only a beer guy.
I'm not very cultured with my alcohol. It's mostly light beer and maybe a gin and tonic here and there.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to be skinny, I'll have a vodka seltzer of some sort. But I was telling Chaps earlier, I don't really get much into brown liquor, not much rum. I'm just like a straight beer vodka guy.
And that probably is, I mean, especially if you're just drinking beers, that's probably the safest way to go.
Yeah.
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 Have
I like
you
a Blue Moon. It's a good one.
Have you ever traveled outside the U.S.?
Barcelona. That's the only time. And Aruba. Does that count?
Yeah.
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 Yep. Was that in college that you went to Barcelona?
I went to Barcelona for a wedding last summer, and it was fucking awesome. However, I noticed there was no fat people there. No, I didn't see a single fat person.
That's pretty true across Europe.
Yeah. And then obviously it's because their food is not processed like ours. I had McDonald's, and it was worse than our McDonald's. So I'm like, what are they doing there?
Not allowing all the additives that makes our
That's
McDonald's
bullshit.
good.
Yeah.
Why do the McDonald's breads, like the buns, you could leave it in your car for like a year and it
Yep.
won't get moldy?
Yeah.
That's probably not good for
I
you.
loved Barcelona, though. The wedding was awesome. It was a beautiful, beautiful city, but I didn't see a single fat person. It was very impressive.
And that is true about Europe. Like when I lived in Italy, I didn't change how much I ate or drank at all, but I magically lost 15 pounds.
Yeah.
Same
Everything
thing.
is better.
White Sox Dave said that when he went to Germany, he said he ate more than he's ever eaten and lost 10 pounds while he was there.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to Europe, Hank?
When I was like maybe 10 or 11, I went to England and Wales.
Okay.
And then I went to Latvia with Clem.
This is Clem. I'm here back in Latvia.
That was, yeah.
What a three-peat there.
Did you see Porzingis there?
No, he was not. He was in America.
I thought the whole thing was trying to find Porzingis.
No, Clem sent a joking tweet, I think, to Dave being like, because that's when he was on the Knicks and it was Porzingis fever, and he was like, I think he was still part-time, and he was like, can I go to Latvia to like become one with Porzingis' heritage? And Dave emailed me and was like, you guys are doing this.
Yeah,
I never met Clem in my life. It was the middle of the winter, which Latvia I've heard is beautiful, but it's like it'd be like coming to Chicago in the middle of January. Like it's just cold and dark and rainy. And then, like a couple years after, I found out like my dad's side of the family is like very Latvian, so
Nice.
would have been cooler if I knew that beforehand.
You should be like the Latvian Nadu. Just like super into it.
Wear like a Latvian chain. Yeah, so it was your first time meeting Clem, and you guys land in Latvia, and then you travel to Porzingis' hometown.
Clem found this kid who was like doing a school project. His dad, it was like 4 hours away, and it was snowing, so it was like we were driving in like it was an old ass car. No one was on the road. It was like sketchy as fuck, even just getting there. And then we just walked around Porzingis' home. We're like, oh yeah, you guys know Porzingis? They're like, yeah.
Do you know Kristaps Porzingis? Ask questions about Kristaps Porzingis? Yeah. Can I talk? Do you mind answering questions about Kristaps Porzingis? Thank you. Kristaps Porzingis, basketball? No? No? All right.
We like went to his high school, and they're like, yeah, this is his high school. And we're like, all right, we did it.
Oh, man.
Porzingis.
Nailed it.
Le Paya.
I'm sure Clem, like...
And the food was horrible. I ate peanut butter and jelly the whole week.
And Clem, when he sent that tweet, like he probably didn't even really want to go.
No.
Like did not expect Dave to say yes, but at that point he couldn't say no.
Right.
He was so new at the company. And didn't he have night terrors?
Yep. We shared a room. I don't think I was even asleep yet, which was good because I would have been scared if I had woken up to it. But he was screaming like bloody murder. And he didn't tell me beforehand. And I was like, dude, what the fuck was that? He's like, oh, yeah, I get night terrors.
He did it when I shared a room with him in New York one time. He got a little drunk at one of the events, and I had a hotel, and I was like, you could just stay with me. One of the loudest snorers and yellers in his sleep of all time. I mean, I love the guy, but that was a rough night.
Oh, shit.
It might just have something to do with jet lag, too, because I had two friends fly all the way out to Shanghai with me, and on their second night, they were sharing a hotel room, and one of the guys woke up screaming. That woke the other guy up, and he started screaming, and then they both like locked arms and were just like screaming at each other, and then like finally we're like, okay, we're good. Jet lag will fuck you up. I suffered it the worst on the trip to Turkey. Like I never really adjusted the entire time I was there. I apparently to not have bad jet lag, you're supposed to not eat on the flight over or something like that. Like not eat a lot, not sleep a lot on the plane. I
had pretty recently I had a ear pop type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where I couldn't hear for a month after in this right ear.
Yeah.
That's the most miserable thing in the world. And I don't know what it's from. I think it's maybe sinuses when you fly. I don't really know. I was chewing gum. I was doing exercises with my mouth. I was doing everything. And it just, when I landed, it just never went away for a month. It was the worst feeling ever.
Sometimes the difference in air pressure can move the earwax, so then it kind of like clogs it.
Messes it up.
So, did you ever try to like unclog your ears? Or?
Yeah, I bought one of those things.
Yeah.
With water.
Yep.
I bought one of those. I tried something else, some machine. I don't know. Eventually, it just unpopped, but that's a very uncomfortable feeling, and that's just from flying a lot. I think I flew 3 days in a row, and that's just what fucked me up.
Yeah, I've had that problem, and I've also I've gone to the doctor and gotten my ears cleaned, and they're just like, they'll pull out some pretty gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
You got anything else before we get into getting cultured?
I'm good on my side. Do you guys have any final words on the South Shore?
No, go get your buff chick calzones. Keno. Make sure you, if you're in Hingham, go get a buff chick calzone from Crow Point. And shout out to the Harbormen. Shout out to the Hingham Harbormen. I love you all.
Shout out to the Coasset Skippers.
We have some bad names.
Situate sailors.
Bad names on the
Sailors,
South Shore.
Skippers, Harbormen.
Clippers.
And yeah, also if you're on the South Shore, and if you go to Situate, the Golden Finger Bar Pie from TK O'Malley's is incredible.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks, fellas.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, now another Barstool South Shore native on the pod for our Getting Cultured segment, Briana Chickenfry.
What's up, South Shore Queen?
Yes, Rockland. Now, believe it or not, Rockland's on the South Shore, but it's not even on the shore. It doesn't have a coastline.
Stolen valor.
Nope.
Yeah.
It is Stolen Valor, Rockland. It's not very, very beautiful, but it's a great place.
Yeah, so we already did an interview with Dana and Hank about the South Shore. We really didn't dive into it too deep. We just talked about where we drank in high school.
Legit, Bree. That's like the whole hour conversation is like, we drank this way here.
Yeah.
We got in a couple fights here.
Exactly. A lot of drinking on the South Shore, but they reminded me that like you're from the South Shore. We also got Ryan, Whitney, and Sas. So we're going to try to at least get a soundbite from every Barstool South Shore personality on this podcast.
Oh, perfect. There's so many South Shore people, which blows my mind.
It's a great area of the country. I would say it's my favorite spot to be in the summer, hands down.
Oh, without a doubt. I think Massachusetts in itself is a hidden gem, but the South Shore can't be beat. I really don't think it can be beat.
What do you love about it?
There's everything you need, right? So you can be trashy if you want to like come to Rockland, come over to Broxton, come over there. You can get dirty. You can do what you got to do. Then you can go 20 minutes down the road, go to Duxbury and pretend you're in the Hamptons. You can go to Situate. There's just so many places to be, and it's so small where it's driving distance. Like you don't feel like you're driving 5 hours to get to a different place.
Yeah. And like, are you still very close with some of your high school friends from there?
Oh yeah, they're my best friends. I brought them all to Coachella this year.
Let's go. Yeah, I think, and that's like very common. I know some people, they're like, dude, after high school, like I try to avoid my hometown. Like I'm really tight with all my college friends. Don't really keep in touch with my high school friends. I'm still very close with all of my high school friends. It's just because like they're kids that I've known since the first grade. And so like you kind of develop a bond that can't be beaten. And yeah, like more often than not, I know Jerry Thornton. another South Shore Barstool guy. I totally forgot about. He's like, yeah, all of my friends now are like
Mr. Karen Reed trial himself.
Yes. He was also saying, I don't know how old he is now, but he was like, yeah, most of my friends like were just like the kids I hung out with in high school too.
Yeah, what is that about the South Shore? Because all my friends in New York, their friends are their college friends. Everyone that I meet, they don't really talk to their high school people anymore. But something about the South Shore is like, that's family forever. You just never get rid of them.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it influenced your personality a bit? I know, like, when you first came on the scene, drinking was a big part of your content. Was that South Shore inspired?
I mean, yeah. So when I went to college, I remember like meeting all the new girls and having my new friends, and we would talk about like, when did you start drinking? And everyone was like, oh, like junior year of high school, maybe sophomore year. And I was like, oh my gosh, 7th grade summer, like 8th grade in the South Shore was everyone would like steal some beer from their dad. It was just normal. It was what everyone was doing. So early. It was crazy.
And it's so different other places. Like where I'm from is dirt trash too. So we spend a lot of time doing meth. But like my kid now is 12. I can't imagine my kid coming home like smelling like booze. But for you guys, I'm like, yeah, no, that checks out. Yeah.
Right? I think of a 12-year-old and I'm like, no way. But then I'm like, shit, we kind of were doing that. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I wasn't 12 when I was getting drunk. My parents do listen to this podcast. I think I waited.
I think you're beyond the statutes of limitations.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, it helped prepare you for college. You know, you weren't, I don't know. I still ended up getting far too drunk in college too. So I didn't learn too many lessons.
I think it prepared me well. I could like outdrink a lot of people, and I owe the credit to the South Shore. I can outdrink like a big boy.
Let's go. Do you have any like favorite spots there, or what's your ideal day on the South Shore? I don't know.
Ooh, okay. Let's go like back when I was living there. Like the ideal summer day, you wake up, it's like 9 a.m. You get all your buddies in the car. You got to hit Mary Lou's. You go to Mary Lou's, which is, oh my God, if there's one thing about the South Shore that I miss the most is Mary Lou's coffee. You go to Mary Lou's, you drive down to the Marshfield Beach, Green Harbor Beach. You park your car over there at the Little Lobster Trap. You go to the beach, you jump off the bridge, you get the chicken nuggets, the lobster roll, and then you go down to the Marshfield, the water side, and you go to a rooftop and drink a mudslide. It's perfect. Plymouth.
Honestly, that sounds like all the promos that Feidelberg used to do for Saturdays for the Boys.
Yes. No, but that
was those promos.
That was a very quintessential South Shore day, because like I wouldn't go to those same spots, but yes, Mary Lou's is huge on the South Shore. Would always go there. Lobster rolls, obviously. Mudslides I think they have them all over the place. But
what's the difference between a mudslide and a bushwhacker? And that's the same thing, right?
I don't know. I've never really heard of a bushwhacker, but I know like Fasoli, who's from Cape Cod, close enough. He is a diehard mudslide guy. So
I was the heat wave this weekend in New York. I was with my Massachusetts friends. We were dying for mudslides. We were Googling, where can we get a mudslide? Not a mudslide in sight in New York City. We were so bummed.
So what goes in a mudslide? It's just like...
It's so easy. We bought the ingredients. We made them ourselves. But it's just ice, Bailey's, Kahlua, and vodka, and chocolate syrup, and whipped cream.
Does that sound like a bushwhacker?
That's a bushwhacker, yeah.
Oh, okay, all
There's
right,
a whole ass festival, Bree. You'd love it in Pensacola. It's called Bushwhacker Festival, and all they do, it's a huge boardwalk. Pensacola guys, there's a huge boardwalk that all they're selling is nothing but bushwhackers. So you have a bunch of like high school, college kids that are just puking up chocolate drinks all day. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a dream.
Yeah, 95 degrees, full humidity, chocolate booze, throw up everywhere. Sick.
Summer.
Yeah.
Now we can cut this part from the pod if you don't want to talk about it. I know of your last boyfriend, you guys bought a house on the South Shore.
Yes.
What ended up happening to that house after the breakup?
I have no idea. I think I know that like people in the town, they sided with me and they like they kind of vandalized it a little bit, and they like
Okay.
they like hung Taylor Swift signs on the gates, and they like put like Boston forever, like Massachusetts, like they really rode for me. But I have no idea. I haven't been back to Massachusetts, like in that area since all that went down. So I have no idea if the house is still standing with him or what. He tried to give it to me, but I didn't take it.
Ooh, wow. It's hard to turn down a house in Duxbury.
I've never been
Yeah.
offered one.
But
Me neither.
it was so boring. Like, I don't know. The neighborhood was just it was just boring for me. I'd rather be in New York City. I felt like I was turning into a housewife, going crazy. And then I would have been the drunk lady that just stays inside and like talks to her dogs.
True. And I'm sure all of your neighbors in that like neighborhood were probably 60 plus or something.
Yeah, they were so sweet, beautiful people, but so much older. I had no one to hang out with there.
And that's the thing,
Yeah.
like, I could see myself one day moving back to the South Shore. I'm not quite ready for the suburban life yet, but is that something you'd consider, like, when you're in, like, 20, 30 years from now?
I think, I want my kids to grow up the same way that I grew up. I think it was the best way. Maybe not the drinking at 12 or 13.
I was like, that's probably going to be different when you have them.
But like just the camaraderie or like the people in Boston and like the South Shore, Massachusetts. I'll end up back in the suburbs one day, but it's so far. That's so far. I can't imagine settling down anytime soon.
Yeah, I feel like I might need 3 kids to move to the burbs.
Right? Yeah.
Because New York is a little bit different. I feel like I could handle Chicago with 2 kids.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about the drinking aspects, something not drinking related that South Shore stands out.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm like, I don't know. That was like my whole
Tell us something cool about the South Shore that doesn't involve booze.
Everything surrounds drinking. Like I'm just thinking of what my friends are like planning this weekend. It's everything surrounds drinking. But I would say like, I mean, it's just in the summer. It's just like the beach and the people. I would just say the people. I've never met anyone like South Shore people in my life. Like if they love you so hard. If they hate you, they will go to the lengths to like kill you and like make sure it's known that they hate you. So I think it's just like the people. I've never met any people like it before.
I mean, I think that shows like by how many are here and like what we do. Like that is the people, the personality, like the same kind of thing. Like Whitney, you like Whitney a lot because he's very funny, biting, can own you in a second, but also like super fun hang out with. Nice guy too.
Yeah, like he can bust balls, but not come off as like a huge asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said I feel like everyone from the South Shore really says it how it is, but not in a mean way. They're just very straight up, and it's refreshing.
I got a fun fact for you. You're from the town of Rockland. Rockland was a shoe town. It was a major shoe and leather manufacturing center. Wow.
Yes.
Damn.
Fascinating.
Good on you, Bree.
The old shoe factories, they like renovated them, and all of my friends lived like in the apartment complex in high school. The old shoe factories.
All right. That's cool. And also another fun fact, it's Rockland youth hockey has a fierce legacy. What?
The Utes?
I mean, that's not a cool fact, really.
That's wild.
We have a really good
Who would have
hockey league.
Who would have ever thought? Kids from Massachusetts love hockey. Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of facts. It says Frank H. Buck Freeman lived there, who was a professional baseball player in the early 1900s, who played for the Boston Beaneaters.
That's wild. We don't have many facts coming out of Rockland, man.
No, those are pretty good ones. Those are three solid ones right there. You like hockey. There's a bean team.
So I guess it's just this guy, fucking Buck, and you as the are you guys the two biggest celebs to ever come out of Rockland?
I'll take it. I'll be a Rockland celeb. I'll take that one.
For sure. I mean, I think Hank was trying to claim he's the most famous like dude out of South Shore. Was he? No. He gave that to Ryan Whitney, but I don't know. I think you might be more famous than Ryan Whitney at this point.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe in different worlds. Different worlds.
Yeah, because like my mom, she enjoys a tipple of Pink Whitney every once in a while. She had no idea who Ryan Whitney was. I was like, I work with that guy. It's just not the faintest clue. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. If you have any other thoughts about the South Shore you want to leave us with, feel free.
I mean, the one thing that me and my friends really bond over is beer and pizza at Damien's Pub on the South Shore in Hanson. So if you haven't been there and you're driving through, it's the best pizza ever, the best memories. There's no Wi-Fi in there. You got to sit there and talk to your friends. They got trivia. It's shitty, but it's great. So that's my favorite part about the South Shore, low-key.
There you go.
And is that a South Shore bar pie?
It's a South Shore bar pie.
Let's
Dave
go.
didn't like it, but I don't really trust Dave in all of the pizza ratings that he does. So trust me on this one.
No, that's true. He's had so much pizza at this point. I think his brain gets a little jumbled from time to time.
Yeah, he doesn't like the pie ones, the bar pies.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on. Check out Breeze Pod, BFFs. And maybe we'll have you on for a full episode at some point down the line.
Yeah, hell yeah. Thanks, guys. Go South Shore.
All right. Thanks, Bree.
Peace.
Bye.
And now a quick word from Duxbury native Lil Sas.
All right, growing up in Massachusetts, I grew up on the South Shore. Something that's cool about Massachusetts that I like is that it's a big state, and you get the best of both worlds. I mean, I grew up on the beach. I don't really love the beach, to be honest, but then we're just like a couple hours away. We're here in the looking at the mountains of Vermont, I believe, which is still not Massachusetts quite, but close. And if you get close enough, you can still live in Massachusetts and go to the mountains. So I always liked that. The beach was never really my cup of tea. The sharks were always a big issue for me.
Are there a lot of sharks there?
In Massachusetts, yeah. There's a shit ton of great whites. They close the beaches in Massachusetts all the time because of great whites. So I don't like great white sharks, and I don't like swimming with them, so I'm more of a pool guy, personally. But it's a good state overall. Plymouth Rock, go check it out. One of the worst. It's a tiny rock. It's a lot smaller than you'd think. It sucks, but go see it. It's history.
And now a word from Scituate native Ryan Whitney.
All right, this is Ryan Whitney, born and raised in Scituate, Massachusetts. One of the most beautiful towns you could ever live in. I mean, it's on the coast. I think the population might not double, but it gets way bigger in the summer. You don't need to go to the Cape. That's what people say, why don't you go to the Cape? I'm from Scituate. There's no reason to go to the Cape. It's closer to Boston, so it's even better. Coastal community, the Irish Riviera. I wouldn't change a thing about how I grew up. I absolutely love the South Shore. I like Cohasset, I like Hingham, I like Norwell, I like all these areas. Now, I don't live there because I travel a lot. I got to be closer to the city, but if that wasn't the case, I would probably still be in Scituate right now. My parents are still there. I don't think any chains in Scituate. I mean, I haven't lived there in a while, but I don't think there's any chain restaurants. I think it's just old school, great town to grow up in, go to the beach. Hell of a sports program nowadays. I think football, hockey, very good. So I don't have any real specific facts about Scituate, Massachusetts, beside the fact that it's one of the most beautiful towns in the state of Massachusetts. And I got to grow up there.
And now a word from Weymouth native Jerry Thornton.
Hey, it's Jerry Thornton, and these old balls are coming to you from America's hometown of Plymouth, Massachusetts. What makes the South Shore so great? Well, how about for starters, we got the rest of the country to spend $27 billion to dig a tunnel just to save us 15 minutes off our trip to the airport. And we're the only massholes around Boston that don't have to pay a toll to get to it. In addition, Quincy, Massachusetts is the home of 2 U.S. presidents, and my ancestral homeland is the home of the hottest first lady ever, Abigail Adams. Such a smoke show that Laura Linney played her on HBO, but also George Young, who did nothing less than invent cocaine smuggling. He was played by Johnny Depp in the movie Blow, and if it were not for Young's efforts, then the 1980s probably would have had no casual sex at all. I wasn't afraid of COVID because I used to swim in Wassagusset Beach in North Weymouth, so I have an immunity now to all microbes. Between this and Weymouth is Nantasket Beach, known as the world's largest ashtray, where in 2011 the NFL gathered to settle the labor dispute, and its marketing slogan is still, "Our beach is practically syringe-free." The South Shore gave the world bar pizza. Actually, we didn't give it to the world. We keep it to ourselves. You can't get it anywhere except here because we refuse to export it. But we did export the Karen Reed trial. So if you heard one of those witnesses testify, all they had was beers and I just drink Jameson and ginger, or, we called her a babysitter with benefits, that is a son or daughter of this proud land. Do we think we're grandiose and get accused all the time of thinking we're better than everybody else? No, we don't think that. We simply are.